welcome and thank you for coming to the PET mini grant workshop, and we'll try to be pretty brief with it. My name is Don Remillard and I'm chairing the PET board this year. Dr. Pritch, your superintendent, is here to bring you a word of greetings and whatever else he wants to say. So, Gordon.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate all the work that Mr. Remillard does with the PET board. It's a great example of that you can never retire. And so, as former superintendent, he knows how important something like a PET board organization is, and he's devoting his time to that. So, really appreciate his work there. But thank y'all for being here today to investigate this opportunity. Great, we should have put on there free money or something like that. And maybe we would have got even more turnout. But thanks for coming. I'm glad for your interest. I'm sure some of you have done this before, and some of you probably have not. But it's a great opportunity. It's not a lot of work, but some good returns. And I'm always impressed with the creativity and the ideas that folks come up with for their grant request. And we all know it's to benefit the kids, and so that's a huge part of it. So thank you. And I know this is tough, but invite others. It does create more competition, I know, so maybe it's hard to do that, but get the word out because we got money.
And we want to give it away.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Gordon. For those of you who don't know, PET stands for Public Education Trust. It was a 504c3 charitable entity that was created back in the 80s when a group of local citizens and the superintendent were talking, and they said, how can we help? We need more money, And so they said, well, let us see if we can help you. That's what we're all about. We've got 20 members. They're from all walks of life. They either represent the community, they represent the businesses in Douglas County, or they're retired educators who want to come back and give back to their profession. Our sole purpose is to support the students and staff of the Douglas County school system. And we do that by facilitating some scholarships to students. We don't raise money for those scholarships, but there are scholarships that people want to give and they don't know how to do it, and we do, so they turn it over to us and let us do it. Our fundraising primarily goes to support things that the school system can't do financially, and the biggest part of that is the mini grants. Teachers have fantastic, great ideas. I know as a school administrator and then working here at the central office, it was awful tough to say no when teachers came to you and said, I've got this great idea, it's going to be great. And I knew it would be great. We just didn't have any money. This is an avenue that we can help you. You already spend enough out of your pocket. Both of my daughters-in-law and one of my sons are educators, and so I know what it's like, and I spend a lot of my own money, and we don't want you to have to do that any more than you already do. So if you've got some great ideas, we want to help fund them. I want to introduce a couple of our PET members who are here today. Over here we've got Lynn Cole, who's a business person and also a parent of some students in the school system. We've got Marion Dolan here in the back, who's a retired principal and is now working with Value Teachers, who are sponsoring our refreshments today. So Marion and her husband Bill, thank you for doing that for us, and we appreciate it. And then Karen Stroud is our staff person that Dr. Pritch so kindly lets us use, and I kindly let him use Karen when I was superintendent, and my predecessor let her use Karen when he was superintendent, so she's been with us a long time. And this is Lacey Anderson, Karen's new secretary. Brenda Spain retired in December, so Lacey's brand new, and Lacey's helping us as well. The rest of the members are at work and out and about business. We had a meeting this morning, and a lot of them just couldn't make it back. But again, I want to welcome you here to this workshop, and as Dr. Pritch said, we'd like to get as many teachers applying as we can, and each year we've been able to put more and more money into this, and we've got grandiose goals, and I think we can attain them to really get a lot of money poured into funding great ideas. This is Sissy Bunch, another retired educator who's also on the PET board. Sissy, so thank you. This time I'd like to turn it over to Marion Dolan, and we'll go on with the workshop.
let me just tell you, when I was a principal, Don Remillard did not mind telling me no. No, just kidding. He did, I think. But as a principal, it was so difficult when teachers would come to you with fabulous ideas that you just simply, had looked in every little pocket of the allocations, and there were just no funds for it. And it would be fabulous enrichment activities or just other materials, and it breaks my heart to see how much money you spend, and I know you do, all the time in your classroom. I think every teacher that I've known does that. You just spend and spend and spend. And this is an excellent way for you to not have to spend your personal funds to do those creative projects in your classroom. It's a very simple process, I think. I've helped some people write one, but many of you have written them and been successful, and we've asked a few of you to share your success stories. So I'm going to ask Heather Deal from Stewart Middle School if she would share a few minutes. Heather, come on down. You're the winner today. But it's exciting to us, and those of us that have been on the PET committee for a while. I know Sissy's been on it for a while. And it's always so exciting when we read the grants, and then especially when we get to award those grants. So Heather's going to speak to you just a minute and tell you what she did and how simple. Right, Heather?
It is.
Thank you.
It requires, some time, and I would suggest starting with your school improvement plan, and that should be on everybody's website. And look at the data that's there. That's the easiest place to look. And you can see where your strengths and weaknesses are. I'm the media specialist at Stewart, so where I'm most comfortable is reading and language arts. Last year's grant, I was targeting specifically our special needs students and our reluctant readers. Many of our students read at a, first grade reading level. The only thing that we had available in our media center to meet those needs are what we call big books or picture books. A middle school student doesn't want to read a picture book. That's embarrassing, humiliating. And it just took a little bit of time and research to find some companies that actually write books that have middle school content, middle school covers. And these kids come and check those out, and it's actually been really successful, not just with our special needs students. We have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that, because of the content, and they've been successful, once they read the book, they're scoring 100% on their AR test, even though it's a little below their reading level. They're reading 2 or 3 of these and loving them. So I've had wonderful success with the funds that I received from Pet Grant. And the majority of the time is just really doing the research, talking with your colleagues, and seeing where, it's easy to ask for money. But, the plan takes a little bit more time. They give you a format to use. Just follow the format. One of my suggestions is to always back up whatever you're asking for with research. Make sure there's not, don't use just one person's research. Look for several different pieces of research that can support what you want to do with your grant. And make sure that it truly is serving the biggest need in your school. I'm at Stewart. If anybody wants any help, I don't mind helping. I don't mind sharing. We all have the same common goal, so you can email me or call me, and I don't mind, talking to any of you or sharing what I've written for pet grants or other grants. I've also written some grants for the Laura Bush grant. And I was telling somebody else earlier, in the last 3 years in my media center, just by putting that extra time in, I've put almost $20,000 worth of books into our media center. And I'm very proud of that, and it has completely turned around kids that didn't want to come in and read these outdated books, and they don't want to read a raggedy, ugly book, They like nice and pretty, just like we do. So I don't mind sharing that because I get chills. I see what the effect it has on our kids, and we all have that same common goal. So feel free to call me, email me, whatever, and I'll share whatever I can with you.
Thank you, Heather. That's exciting. And I'm glad you made the point of referencing your school improvement plan. That's always a wise thing to do. Okay, next we have Miss Jennifer Baker, who switched hats on us this year. Jennifer, when she wrote her grant, was at Mason Creek Elementary, and now she's at Burnett in the Media Center. So congratulations on your new position, and tell us all about it.
Thank you. Well, like Heather said, it is great to really start with your school improvement plan. And what I love about PET, I think I've read one the past 3 years, is that it really is easy. You just have to take the time to do it. They give you a format that you follow that format. It is very simple. It's laid out. And if you just go by that, and my main advice to you is just not to skip any steps, to make sure you include exact dollar amounts. And if it's anything with technology, to make sure that that is approved first. I made that mistake one year of not having that approved first, and it was approved by the PET board, and I just had to go through a few hoops. We were still able to use the document cameras, but just make sure it's approved first by technology, whatever you're writing your grant for. And then another thing is, I think when we think about writing, we always teach our kids to hook the writer, to think of a great hook. Well, the same thing with the PET grant. You want to think of a catchy title. One that I used before is Elmo is not just for Sesame Street, and that's when I was writing a grant for document cameras, and they were Elmos at the time. And then I think last year we wrote a grant for IXL, and it was From Home to School, Math is Cool. Just something a little bit different. And then, and what I loved was last year, sometimes the PET grant will give you maybe 2 grants. It was brought up last year by someone, can we write more than one? And they said, sure. And so we did, and we were able to get 2 grants, and one of them was the IXL internet-based program that our 3rd grade students at Mason Creek are still using, and it's great because they can use that at home and at school. And then we also needed just some more reference materials in the Media Center, atlases, thesauruses, things like that, and the PET board, approved that. So, I was very appreciative of that. Mason Creek is appreciative. Let me see anything else. Basically, that's it. It was funny when Dr. Pritz said free money, because that was big here on my notes. It's easy, it's free money. It's just sitting here waiting for you. And so, I don't want to kick myself, once they give out the awards, because I, chose not to write a grant that year because I thought I didn't have, the couple hours to work on it, when really, if you just take the time, it is very simple. So that's it.
Thank you, Jennifer, and she's right. We do love those catchy titles, don't we, Miss Bunch? They're just fun. All right, and we didn't plan to have all media specialists, but Jennifer was a classroom teacher when she wrote her grant. But Tracy Scaglione is here from Dorset Shows Elementary, and speaking of writing more than one grant, how many did the school get last year, Tracy? Do you recall? It was, but
I think it's 5 or 6.
They are very focused on writing those grants. They're very serious about it, and they think a lot about it ahead of time. I was the pretend principal there for 6 months, so I know what they do. But anyway, this is, we love you, all of you. So Tracy's going to tell you a little bit about what she did, as well as, I think, mention a few of the others. The others, their staff meeting got switched to today.
Yes.
So they have some other obligations.
On behalf of the several teachers who applied for PET grants and were successful with receiving those, I'm speaking on their behalf. And we did have quite a few, and it was such a blessing for our school to acquire a lot of new software, which that was a good point I had on my notes that Baker already mentioned, is make sure that what you want technology-wise is approved and works within the system. Because we had a lot of software, and had we not talked with technology beforehand, we would have run into a couple of bumps in the road, but we were able to have a really smooth transition, have all that software ready, and have it on the new computer image for our school when it was renovated, and that's just really helped all grade levels, K through 5, and it's something that's been awesome. Lots of great interactive games and resources that are used with the Promethean boards, the electronic boards. So it can be used on the desktop, it can be used on the electronic board, and the kids love it. And it's really helped with our math. That has been one area that I know is a focus for our whole county, and that's been really beneficial at our school. I've written several grants to beef up our nonfiction collection, and that's been super successful, getting nonfiction, true informational books that the kids really want to read, that are and also support the social studies standards, the science standards for a variety of grade levels. So it's made a huge impact school-wide. So many of our grants have. But one other thing, because the ladies that spoke before me did such a fantastic job of sharing great tips, one other one I would add is really check with your team. If you're on a grade level team or with special areas or special ed, and also check with your school, other leaders in your school, on your leadership team for ideas. For example, several years ago, I collaborated with our guidance counselor on a bullying grant for materials, anti-bullying materials. We had nonfiction and fiction books, and then she had some program ideas, and it blossomed into a whole year-long program that really had a positive impact on our school culture. And when you know a program's successful, when the kids they're saying the slogan, they're taking advantage of resources available to them, like all the different books. And it's just awesome when your whole school climate can be impacted and all the kids have an opportunity to be involved. And we couldn't do it without PET. So thank y'all very much. And good luck to you all. It's really easy. Like they said, dot your I's, cross your T's, get a friend to proofread it, get a colleague to double check it for you. But good luck to all. Thank you.
Wow, some great points you've all made. Thank you so much. Ms. Stroud, they almost took your thunder, didn't they? They made several points. But Karen is the pro on what we do and don't do on mini grants and some pitfalls, and she's going to talk to you about the application process. And here she is. Pet Board couldn't do without her, and I couldn't do without her as a friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming today. I think it's a great opportunity for you to learn more about the inside and outside of getting your PET mini grant. I have done this since 1996. I've been working with PET, and I've seen a lot of people fall down in just like 2 or 3 little areas if they had just really paid attention. So we've tried to make it a little bit easier for you. And one of our PET Board members, we have a committee that focuses on the mini grants and a committee that focuses on the scholarships. And the committee has met a couple of times, and they have tried to come up with an easier plan for you. So this year, if all goes well in the next few days, you will find your mini grant application online. You will not have to do the traditional paper and pencil that you've had to do before, which can be a little complicated, and they've even come up with a checklist for you to check to see if you included everything in your mini grant application that you should have done. There's a timeline there. This is not a casual timeline. So you will need to submit your information, and we've had the words draft put on both of these, and we're going to give them to you today. We're not giving them out yet across the system. We want you to look at it. If you see anything that you're like, I don't know if that's really going to work, if you'll let me know, we're open to revisions to make sure that this is going to be the easiest process that we have done for you. As I look at these, let's see. The actual grant itself, I'm going to give you these in a minute, but I've seen people in classrooms before. I know how this goes. If I gave it to you earlier, what would y'all be doing now? So everywhere you see a little line after like a group or individual name, that's where it's going to be that box. That's just the way it copied. So if you're like, why does everyone have like one at first? But that's really just the way that box appears. So we try to give it to you so you could read it really well. This one is actually, let's see. This one has the guidelines on it, and this is the actual application over here. So on the guidelines, they come in here and they've told you that you're still going to have to make it so that it can be printed out. And we're still not quite sure if you're going to have to print out a copy and send it to me. Right now, that's what it looks like, but you're also going to do it online. Some of our readers want to read it in a printed copy, and some of our other readers are wanting to do it online. So this is our kind of trial year with that. But they've gone down through here and given you a checklist, point by point by point. And as long as you follow through with taking care of the checklist, you should be pretty successful. Now, there's something that we have on both of these papers that I really want to draw your attention to. And as it's printed out here, it does appear to be in very small print, but it's very important. If you currently have a mini grant, you must submit your information about your current grant in order to actually get the funds for the next grant. Now, if the timing doesn't quite work out and you don't submit your summary and you get approved for a mini grant, you're not going to get it until until you've met the timeline. So all that timeline is on here, so don't let that confuse you. Unless you currently have a mini grant, it really doesn't concern you. But if you do have one, make sure you've gone back through there and you've checked it very carefully, and your office manager or the person who handles the funds in your school knows that they really need to get that turned in on time, which we've given you until the week after the last week of school. So there's plenty of time to actually get the money returned, but don't hold up submitting your summary waiting for the money to be returned. And all that money goes right back into mini grants. So, I know it's a real pain if you have like $3 left, but that money just keeps feeding back in, and over time it builds up. So if you're thinking, why do I have to turn in $3? But go ahead and submit it, and your school can do it, because they have to clear their books too, so they can't just hold on to that money. As you look on here, on the guidelines, the last bullet says PET mini grants cannot provide funding for food. So if you're having a parent night, you need to think a little bit creatively. We talk about that in a minute. Field trips, fundraisers, and items provided by the school system. If the school system is providing your classroom with desk, textbooks, interactive boards, whatever the things are that are already provided, please don't ask for those, because you're just going to get like a big X and go to the bottom of the stack without even, as soon as you ask for something that's not allowed, you're going to move right to the bottom. Now, if you're asking for something that's really totally different, it's not part of the textbooks, it's really different and innovative, because you really want these to be innovative. So think outside the box. I can remember many, many years ago, there was a young lady who was a teacher at Bright Star, as I recall, who wrote some of the most creative mini grants I had seen in a long time. I think you did one on measurements on a cart that went from classroom to classroom. Some of these mini grants are so impactful that you just kind of remember them. And that was in what year would that have been? Like,
it was at least 2000.
Yeah, around 2000 or so. So when you write these, the community's like, wow, that teacher's really thinking outside the box and doing something that kids need that's different. So be thinking about that. I know I haven't given you these yet, but I'm getting ready to. Do you have any questions that I could answer, or maybe some members of the committee can answer?
About the budget, be real specific about the budget.
Very
So, I mean,
specific.
Like if it's $500, just don't say, I want $500.
Right.
You need to have,
Itemized budget.
itemized budget.
Don't just give us a lump sum like, like she said, I'll spend $500 on this project. Okay, and how will you be spending that money? And if there's something you're ordering, sometimes you can negotiate with people, especially in this economy. See if you can get the shipping included in it. Just really work it. And if you need food because you're doing some kind of event, talk to your principal, talk to whoever handles your partners in education. Maybe you can partner up with somebody if it's just critical that you have, something to feed people to get them there. Sometimes you do have to give people a little bit of food. But see what you can work out. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, couldn't quite hear you.
The vendors, are we still required to use certain vendors with the net grant?
These funds are going to go directly from PET to your school. There could be, if there's a vendor who's not on the vendor list and they're a sole source, or you can find a better one, then you'll have to work with, who is it, Becky, to get them put on as a vendor. And you'll have time to do that because this process starts now and you're not going to actually be using the money until next school year. So that's something I would pursue, especially as we see some of these outrageous shipping costs are the thing that just really kill me. I would look around for local sources, and you may think, well, gosh, I can get this so much cheaper at Stroud's source online, but over here on Dolan's local community one, you might pay a little bit more from Dolan, but by the time I add my shipping charges to you, you would have been better off to buy it at Dolan. So really, do it like you would your home budget. You wouldn't just randomly go out and order the most expensive thing you could find with the highest shipping. You would kind of check around. So do that same kind of diligence for this that you would do for anything you wanted to buy for yourself at home. Great question. Others? Okay, if I can have a couple of helpers, we'll give these out. This is one. And this is a different one, so if you'll follow her. Mm-hmm.
Did everybody get a door prize ticket? And speaking of partners in Ed providing food, I really don't want to take all that food home with me, so please enjoy your refreshments.
And are there other comments? Anybody else want to speak? Feel the urge to say something before we draw for door prizes? We appreciate y'all. I also wanted to give a great big shout out to system employees that contribute monthly from their paycheck to PET organization. Yay you! That's a great funding source for our organization. Don, do you remember how much our monthly contribution from employees is?
Gosh, I don't know.
It's a little over 500.
Yeah, it's up over what it is.
I think it's between 500 and 600, so that is great. Thank you for your participation on that. And the first door prize, and it promises that it's easy to keep alive. I have fake ones. I don't have. Okay, so the last three numbers are 563. Who's the grand prize winner? Come on down. 563. Yay! It is real. All right, and we have some more door prizes. Who has 566? All right, Miss Susan. Karen's going to deliver your door prize. We'll shake it up. All right, 561. Way to go. And then we have 581. All right. Thank you so much for your attendance today. It means so much, I know, to your administrators. And thank you for coming, Alicia. We're proud to have an administrator here. Okay. The website?
DouglasPublicEducationTrust.org. And when you go on the website,
Again, it's DouglasPublicEducationTrust.org. Ms. Stroud will demonstrate.
it's going to be under the About Us. It's not there now, but we'll click it anyway.
About Us and then a link from mini grants.
Maybe. It is under construction right now, but, whoops, there it is. Okay, right here, under mini grants is where you're going to find the application.
We have some PET board members that are very tech savvy that have volunteered to do that for us, trying to make our process a little easier for you all. So we hope. Yes?
In one section it says number of students it applies to. We're just doing an approximate.
Absolutely. Sometimes it'll be just for your classroom. If you're like elementary, I would recommend you talk to all your teammates on your grade level. The more people that it impacts, the more we smile at that, and or school-wide impact. You might, depending on your area, like Heather's was more, well, kind of sort of school-wide impact. So just take that into consideration. There are other questions? Ms. Bunch, you have any other comments or?
Amount of your students, if you're special ed, you don't have, that's fine, bring it to us.
Yes, exactly. If you have a very limited number, like Heather, I would think yours was more limited with the students that needed that, but that was an excellent project that we enjoyed funding.
If I could mention one more thing, Mr. Remillard mentioned this earlier about, in addition to the mini grants, we have scholarships. I think you might be surprised at how few high school students want to go to the trouble to apply for a scholarship. Do any of you have high school students or know high school students who are seniors? If you do, I hope you'll encourage them to go and visit their career center, because these scholarships that we help with are all made available through the Career Center. So if you know anyone who might use some money to go to college, be sure and refer them to their Career Center to get information about scholarships, all scholarships, but particularly those that are funded through the PET Board.
Great point. And again, reach out to those of us, those that presented, or if you want to contact me, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. My email is mdoland, D-O-W-L-A-N-D, @ValueTeachers, and there's no E in value. Thank you again. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for all you do every day for our students.